So hello everyone, welcome to the webinar hosted by OCASI and in partnership with the Hong Folk Mental Health Association. So my name is Dina and I'm the Mental Health Promotion Coordinator here at OCASI, and I'm so delighted to have you this afternoon with us. And I'll pass it on to our facilitators today. So we have Maria and we have Emily from Hong Folk who will be facilitating the webinar for us, and they'll explain to you a little bit of introduction with our kind of rules for the space and all of that.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It is a great pleasure for me and my partner, Emily, here today to talk about a very important and interesting topic, the cultural competence approach. What does that entail? So we are going to go deep into that today. The objective of the session, at the end of the session, we hope that everyone will know the principle of culturally sensitive approach towards the mental health, and also identifying guiding principle for addressing clients' mental health needs in the context of a settlement worker, and also motivate our client to seek professional help if needed. So I pass the time to Emily.
Yes, so for me, I haven't seen the slide on my side yet, Maria, but I will start talking until Maria pull that up, and I don't see the screen I don't see the screen on my screen yet. But hi everyone, it's good to have you back here with us today. And today we're going to talk about, I still don't see the screen yet. I'm going to refer back to my slides here. So today we're talking about culture. So I'm sure most of you have, yeah, I see a little bit of, I don't see the screen. But, okay, maybe that's just.
Sorry about that. Let me.
Okay, so I'll let Maria work on that. So what is really culture? For what we can understand is that maybe it's a learned traditions, something that we were maybe born into the environment, or maybe a principle, a guide that a behavior that we have to share among a common members. Like for instance, people have work culture, or like we were born into the culture, like say I'm Vietnamese, I'm Asian, so I have certain, I got it, Maria, perfect. And I was born into the environment that I live in, right? So the culture is, may I say, language, may I say, a belief system, values, traditions, like I mentioned. Sometimes it's the way you dress, custom, and the way you dress, your identity. Sometimes.
Unmute already.
Okay.
System
You are muted.
Emily, unmute yourself.
Where you are muted?
Oh, sorry. Where did I left? Where did I left off? I'm not quite sure what happened there, but it's something like a group perceptions, I think. Like if you were to share amongst values of the people that you share space with. Just imagine. So we never think that we are on land and we in the air, right? The oxygen, just like maybe like a fish in water. Do you think the fish know that they live in water, or they just say those humans live on land, right? So it's like a culture that around you. And sometimes it's occupy a blind spot. So let me introduce you to the next one. I know some of you might already see this iceberg, but by Edward Hall. So Hall did share with us that there's three parts of the iceberg, and most of the iceberg that we see is quite on top, like screen is a little scattered. I don't know for our participant as well, but for me, it's a little scattered. It's better now. So basically, the A part is you can see, very observable. So it's like a very a surface that you can see. You may be aware of the situation, and the emotional attached level is quite low. So the B part is not very observable, and it's not too deep, but it's in the shallow end, and it's related to maybe unspoken rules, unspoken gesture, the way we act. And you might not be aware of this surrounding if you're in the B section, and maybe some of your emotionals attached to this surrounding quite high. And then the last one is the C, is very deep. You cannot see at all. It's almost like a core values that, maybe you view that as bad, you view it as good, there's certain belief, and it's sometimes it's in your unconscious, like you react or you understand the way you understand, and you can't see it. Okay, so I wanted to play a little game with you, so to see if where we're at. So let's say, how many people think that maybe food, where is food belong, in A, B, or C? So do you think food in A? If you agree, please say agree, or if not, then you just do disagree. Okay, see how many people would say food is belong to categories A. Awesome, you guys are so good at this. Okay, a few more seconds. Yes, I'm going to stop now and share the result. You are absolutely right. And a lot of you, 95% of you say that is A, and only 5% say disagree, say no. Yes, it is it's in A. It's very observable. You can see it. It's there. It's very level. Okay. How about language? Do you think it could belong to A as well? Okay, so sorry. What do you think? Language is A, in A? Yeah, awesome. Yes, and I can see people agree. Yeah, yeah. And some of you that type in the chat box when some of these questions, if you can kindly just vote, then we can share across the participants so that we can see where we're at. Okay, so absolutely, again, you are very good. So this one is like 90% of you say food is in the B, I mean the A, and 10% say it's not in A. Yes, majority of you are correct. Sorry, language is in categories A. You can see, you can hear people speaking, and the emotions quite low. If when we in this space. Okay. All right. So that is quite a bit easy. What about rules of conduct? Like there's certain rules that you have to follow. Is it in B? Do you think is it in B? It's very shallow, but everybody like you can see it. You can be it's like unspoken, it's a rules, but unspoken rules is like, oh, maybe I don't need to follow it, if I break the rules, or some people will be very strict. They're like, nope, I'm not breaking the rules. So you think it's in B, and you're aware of this too, right? Are you aware of you breaking rules? Few more seconds. Okay. Some of you was mentioned about you not able to see the slide. I'm gonna end the poll soon. Don't worry, folks. We will share the slides with you. We email it to Dina, and she can share with everyone. We just wanted you to focus on just enjoying the presentation at the moment. If you have any difficulty of seeing the slide, you let Dina know. Okay. All right. So yeah. Oh, I like this. 88% of the people say agree, and 12% said disagree. You're absolutely correct. It is in the B sections, like different people that when they grow up or they were raised certain way. Just like, for instance, like my dad, he would never break any rules because he believed that because breaking rules is actually it's something that you don't do, or you're gonna get in trouble, So different people in their core values, they reflect their behaviors, right? So, okay, so let's pick on something like more, what about problem solving? Okay, so problem solving, this way, problem solving to maybe an illness, like, so when our consumers experience mental illness or having mental health issues, there are ways of problem solving or ways looking at their life or their problems depends on the culture, right? So are you agreeing that it could be in a very deep level, level C, maybe? Okay. A few more seconds before. Okay, so 90% of people say agree and 10 people saying disagree. And I saw someone's asking me to repeat the questions. So the question is, sometimes when we, so this is like problem solving related to cultural, right? So for instance, if I have mental illness and I know if I was born and raised here, I would say, okay, so maybe I have mental illness, I'm hearing voices, I should see a doctor, or maybe medications will ease off a little bit, but not for maybe my aunt or my mom was born in Vietnam and grow up in Vietnam. They would say, you know what, that's probably just, I'm hearing our ancestor. Maybe I don't have to see a doctor. I mean, the doctor's not going to help me. Let's go see, maybe a religious, the monk, right? So those are the values that embed in us, right? I hope, is that clear? Is that sounds okay? Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the so when you look at the iceberg, there is a culture that we quite embed in. A lot of time it's influenced by the society that we live in. So when working with clients, we need to somehow be mindful of what they are visible or invisible of their own cultural aspect. We have cultural psychiatry where people, when we look into an issues, maybe it might not be a present issues. Maybe we have to understand what the impact their health or their mental health, what they're going through. Okay. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, awesome. So the culture can be learned, right? Can culture be unlearned? So if we understand, we learn the culture that we are in, okay, and we can try to understand, or we understanding other cultures beside our own culture is we can appreciate the differences. So when we work with clients who are in a different context of a different culture, is it possible that we can learn from them and see what their perspective of what they're thinking? For instance, if the foreigners can learn the host country, the culture of the country. For instance, I have a lot of clients who come and tell me that, we socialize on the bus. Or transportation, public transportations, we speak really loud, we saying hi to people really loudly. But when I come here, everybody's quite silent on the bus, right? So it can be learned or unlearned from wherever they are, like from the host country that we're in, or where the host agency that we attend to, we come for service. So when we work with clients, we need to be mindful of the visible and sometimes invisible aspect of their belief, their culture, their belief, their values. So sometimes that certain culture can impact their health and their mental health.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. So I just want to summarize, like that cultural iceberg exercise. It brings us why we do that exercise. It is for us to reflect. When we are talking about culture, often we will think about something that we can see, because that is visible. But a lot of time, the deep part is hidden, is underneath. And when we are talking about the deep culture, it is something that maybe we brought up with. Even we ourselves may not be aware. For example, if I'm brought up in an environment that is not supportive, that I was being told that I'm not good and I'm unwanted, for example. So I will be ingrained that idea into my system. So automatically, when there is a challenge, I believe that I'm not able to overcome, because it is already ingrained in me that I'm not good. I don't have that capacity to do that. So when we are talking about those items, the problem solving, for example, even we can see how people solve the problem, but maybe there is a deep value or a core belief inside them that compel them to solve the problem in that way. So that has like the whole culture, the belief that within that individual. And a lot of time, when we see a client, our client or our friend, and even family member, we can only see something like they display, but a lot of the emotion and also the core value is hidden inside. So we have to be also mindful of that. So when on that, also I want to bring to your attention, when we talking about the key characteristic of culture, it affects our behavior, interpretation of behavior. For example, I'm from Chinese origin, and when I brought up, we don't have the term depression. I remember my mother was affected by depression for so many years. But I still remember I accompanied my mother to see many doctors, and none of the doctors have given the diagnosis of depression. They just said, well, I couldn't find any problem, any other symptoms. I don't know what's wrong. But my mother was so feeling so sick. When she came home, she just felt that well, I don't know, I had some like an undiagnosed illness that I cannot have the energy to work. So she felt that she have some, it's like a myth for her. She don't know what is wrong with herself, but she doesn't have that energy. And the doctor says she has a weak nerve. So actually that term, the weak nerve, is a very frequent and very common term being used in our culture, that when people are feeling down and when they don't have the energy to even carry out the daily chore, that they were told that they have a weak nerve. So that because of that belief, that it would be like it will impact on her interpretation of behavior. She would just say that, oh, well, I have no energy because I have a weak nerve, so I have to lie down. So instead of saying that, oh, you know, I had met all these depression symptoms, I cannot bring myself to work, and it really interrupt my daily chore, or I cannot even come to work because of my situation. So, I mean, all these interpretation will affect this individual to seek help, because she thought it is a weak nerve, it's something born with. So she just have to live with it instead of seeking help, right? And also, the culture can influence our biological process. For example, in some culture, maybe in that culture, eating the dog is something forbidden. So if another a friend maybe make a snake, okay, let's put a snake. I know a lot of culture, we are very afraid of snake. But then in some culture, for example, in my culture, we love a snake. And for someone who is so afraid of snake, and if they eat the snake soup, for example, when they come to know that this is the snake soup, they may sensation may make them feel they want to throw up. They want to throw up. So that culture like a belief or that habit will also influence their biological process, that they feel like they have to vomit. Okay, so and of course, when we are talking about culture, it is not staying only in that state. It always changing. So when we talk about cultural competence, what does that entail? I remember when I first joined Hong Fok, in here, we talk about cultural competence a lot. And at that time, I really don't like that term cultural competence, because that term competent, it is like challenging. So I thought to myself, who can say that they are competent enough, right? But later on, after I'd done many research, I realized that when we talk about cultural competence, that is something expected from certain job. Like for us who work in the human, like our target group, we are serving newcomer on a daily basis. So that is expected, certain criteria is expected from us. So that's what we are talking about when we're talking about cultural competence, that is expected from our role, that we should process that criteria. So let me do some question again. I mean, in this world, there are so many cultures, right? I mean, that is impossible for anyone to learn all of them. So what is the point? Like when we are talking about cultural competence, we can never achieve that. Do you agree with that or not? Okay, let me do the poll. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, very interesting. Okay, the majority of you agree. Thank you. Thank you very much. Most of you agree. But I would like to say, yeah, it's true. I mean, when we are talking about cultural competence, it is not, okay, let me do this, stop, and because otherwise you cannot see the screen. But when we are talking about cultural competence, it is not only about, okay, I don't know why it keeps coming up. Okay, thank you so much. When we are talking about cultural competence, it is not only about learning certain culture and to learn as much as possible about a particular culture. Mind you, that is important. But the important concept of cultural competence is to learn to recognize and reject our conception, our belief of certain culture. I still remember when I first arrived in Canada, when people know that I'm from Hong Kong, I often get, oh, you're from Hong Kong, you must be rich, and your math must be good. So like those are some stereotype of certain culture. Although it seems to be something positive, but yet I think, but I happen to be, I'm not wealthy, and also I am not good at math. So like if you are not aware of that preconception of a certain culture, it may limit us to learn more about this individual. And also another important thing is that we have to recognize the influence of our own culture. Like my own culture, maybe I believe that certain thing we can never do. For example, if maybe I believe that we should not, we should always, we can never do abortion, for example. That is my belief, my core belief. But that is okay. That is my core belief, maybe based on my culture or based on my religious belief. But I have to be aware about my baseline and my perception. And in my job, I have to be distinguished. Now I am helping individual to navigate what is best for them. It is not for me to pass my judgment, my belief to others, to say this individual, oh, you should never thought about abortion. No, we have to, but what we can do is that we lay out all the different options, and it's up to individual to make a decision. And our job here is not to make the moral judgment, but is to inform individual all the available choices, and we will support that individual to navigate the system. So that is why when we are talking about cultural competence, it is important for us to be aware of our own belief, our own culture. And we will also remind ourselves not to let that interfere when we are helping others. Also, we focus on understanding the information provided by the individual. Say, even this individual is from the same culture as me. I thought I know my culture very well. And even this individual is from the same culture, but we all aware people are different. People are different. Even we are from the same family, from the same brought up, from the same educational background, we still think, we still have different interpretation of our surrounding, maybe. So we cannot assume because of that, they should think alike. So we only focus on these individuals who are talking with me, who are seeking support. What is their contextual reality? What do they have? What are their support system? What are their issues that they would need our support? So we focus on and understand that individual who's coming and talking about their issue with us. And also, I guess we have to, for me, I must admit, I'm very guilty of it. A lot of time when individual or clients come to seek help, I always try to resolve the problem. I always try to give out advice or different interpretation of their situation. A lot of time when individuals come to talk about their issue, maybe they just need us to listen. The active listening is a very important skill. I strongly believe that individual, they are the expert of their own issue. They know what's the best. When I say that, it is because we all from different background, we all have different resources. For example, maybe I am from the family that are very supportive. If I have that issue, I know that my family will back me up. They may help me to do all the household chore, and they may help me like to reduce all my other worry and give me strong moral support. And that can help me to navigate that barrier. But for other individuals, they may not have anyone to be there to support them. So we have to be aware that each individual are unique, each individual are different. They are from maybe different upbringing, or different, they process different resources. So we have to admire, appreciate that part. So when we are talking about cultural competence, it is not only about learning a specific culture and all the characteristics about that culture. It is about reflecting on our own judgment, and also have the open mind to ask questions instead of jumping to the conclusion. Okay, let me ask you another question. If I attend all the training, such as discrimination training, sexual harassment training, disability rights training, anti-oppression training, so I know all this rule, do I still need, so I know what the law that I have to obey, that what I cannot do. So should I still need to attend? So I didn't need to attend these cultural competence. That means I already cultural competent. Do you agree with that? Oh, sorry, I have to see. Oh, is this from the last time? So I have to end the poll first. Emily, can you help me?
I can pull it for you. Okay, so let's do
yes.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah, so please, yeah. Oh, wow, thank you so much. All right.
Just tell me when to end, Maria.
Okay, thank you. So we give, okay, yeah. Well, I can see that the trend, the majority disagree, which is, yeah, the answer that, thank you so much for showing us. Yeah, we can end the poll. Emily, thank you. So yeah, it is exactly true. Because when we are talking about cultural competence, it is not only one-time thing. Even today, I am aware what is there to cultural competency entail, but the culture, as we say earlier, is evolved, right? It evolved, and every individual who come to see us, they may have different issue, and the interaction is different because individual is different, is unique. So when we are talking about cultural competency, it is ongoing, and each case, each individual are unique. So it is a lifelong process. So we cannot say we learn all those anti-oppression, those are governed by law. But when we are talking about cultural competency, it is not. It is not governed by law. It's not the law require us, we must have that. It is about our behavior and our action and our interpretation of others, and the approach we take to support our clients. And it can help us to improve, and it can help us to be more effective when we are supporting our client. Okay, so let's do one more. I have examined, okay, Maria, I have already aware of that, and I know my preconception about various culture in my service area, and I changed my thought already because I realized that my preconception, and now I feel culturally competent to deal with people who might appear in my organization. So I do not need to continue with this training, or I already achieved that. Do you agree? Oh, wow. Thank you so much. It's overwhelming. Like, wow, okay, still people are voting. Okay, the majority vote disagree, and some say agree. I'm sure you have a reason when you say that. When we have time, I would really like to invite your feedback on that as well. Thank you so much. Okay, Emily, thank you. Can you end the poll? Okay, so yes, I see. Oh, sorry about that. So when we are talking about cultural competence, it is not a one-time thing. As I say earlier, it is a lifelong process, because I have to bring back to our upbringing, our childhood. We may think that, okay, we know all the basic principle or the practice framework of cultural competence, but a lot of things, a lot of our assumption, our core value, it is hidden. Even we ourselves may not know. As I say, if I was brought up in a certain environment, in certain culture, I was being told certain things should be carried on this way. When this happened, you should do this. If I were being educated in that way since I was born. So I thought that is the truth. So I am not even aware that is my assumption or my core value that ingrained inside me. So when we are talking about cultural competence, it is ongoing, lifelong process. So each time we have to challenge ourselves. Is that really without judgmental, that is true, or that is, I have that preconception already? So it is dangerous if we thought that we are already learned enough of certain culture, because as I say, individuals are different. And when we are talking about culture, there is no right or wrong, right? There is no right or wrong. Some people may like lemon and some people may like orange. We cannot say that, oh, you shouldn't like that or you shouldn't like this. So when we are providing support to our client, our goal here is not to judge which culture is better, but to, regardless of where they are from, we want to provide the most supportive and effective care for this individual. Okay, so that brings us to the cultural competence. The definition that has been there for a while. It is a set of behavior, attitudes, and policy that come together in a system. This system can be a race, or this system can be in the organization. For example, I'm from Hong Kong Mental Health Association. At Hong Kong, we have all the policy that cover for each of us, the employee that we should follow, right? So it can be in a family. So when we're talking about that set of behavior, attitude, and policy that come together in that system, agency, or among professionals, enabling the system or the professional to work effectively in a cross-cultural situation. Because we recognize no matter in a system, there is so many culture exists. So we have to be aware of that. And there is a set of rules, because we cannot we have to come to a consensus. So there is a set of rules that we have to follow, abide by that regulation. And then some of us may say, well, why is that so important? You know, that thing, it seems to be so abstract. But when we are looking at the statistic, at the population, we can see from the latest census, at least the result come out, that in Ontario, the population grew to 13.4 million, and more than half of all the respondents living in GTA. Like, look at the statistic, 51.5%, they belong to the visible minority. So when I'm talking about the racial group, it is specifically even among the immigrant, 51.5 of this population, all the population are visible minority. And then let's even look at more microscope. The visible minority groups represent 22.3% of the total population, with the 21.9% being immigrants. Among these 21.9 immigrants, 22.3, a quarter of them belong to the visible minority group. And in Markham, nearly 78% belong to that group. And in Brampton, 73.3%. So you can see that Canada, GTA, or Ontario is made up of many culture, and many of us are from the other backgrounds. But we have to also recognize one very important fact when we are talking about cultural competence. I am not sure about each one of you, but I remember when I first joined Hong Kong, when I was asked, like, what is the cultural competence services? I always think about the ethnic background we individual from, and the languages. These two always stand out. But in fact, individuals are diverse. I can be from from Hong Kong, okay, a new immigrant. I'm a woman. The gender also impact on individuals, right? Because in certain culture, maybe the women are being educated in different way, or being told some norm that a woman should follow. So all underage and my sexual orientation, all these may impact on me when I am interpreting my surrounding. So when we are talking about individual, it is not only about where they are from and what language they speak. It is also about their background and also about the education. So you can see layers and layers. So individuals are diverse. I think right now I would like to show you a video. And I found that this video is really quite fun and to remind us individuals are very different and what we can do to create an inclusive environment. Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, okay. 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 Oh, sorry, because this screen keep coming up. Okay. Thank you. So that is that video reminds us when we are talking about cultural competence approach care that we have to embrace diversity. When we are talking about diversity, we have to recognize that individuals are diverse. Besides the country they are from, the language they spoke, because there's a layer and layer. But the important concept is we are working towards one goal. We are making this world go around. So when we look at this picture, that we can admire the beauty of the mosaic. We are all unique, even we are from the same culture, but still we can think differently. We are unique. And that uniqueness enrich the culture and enrich our life as well. So when we are talking about cultural competence, it is very important. And for me, for myself, my experience is that, when we are adopting the cultural competence, the concept, the practice framework, it also not only help us in our professional career, it also help us in our personal life. It really make us become more aware of our preconception and to be more open-minded and to be more ready to accept different opinion and to accept the uniqueness of other. And itself, that itself can make our life more happy and satisfied as well. So when we are talking about cultural competence at the surface level, it is not only about talking about the theory, it is participatory. We invite the individual that we are supporting to participate in our discussion. What best for them? It's not what we think work best for them. It's what they think work best for them. And we look at the strength. We strongly believe each individual, no matter what circumstance they are at, they have their unique strength. They have their unique experience that that they will know what is best for them. So we look at when we look at the strength, we will see many different ways we can support the individual instead of looking at the limitation, the shortcoming. And also we go beyond illness. We look at the wellness. We want to empower and capacity building. That means we are not doing things for client. We are working with the client to sort out to navigate the system, instead of because if we are doing the thing for them, they are not being empowered, because each time they just need individual to holding their hand. But what they need is that someone to work with them to navigate the system together. When we are talking about cultural competence, it is not only individual level is very important, because we all are frontline worker. So when we are serving our community, it is important that we have that openness and that acceptance attitude. But also the organization has to support that. The organization has to support that belief, the equitable resource allocation, and the training provided to the community, the consultation, and also the reflection and partnership. For example, today's workshop, we are partnering with OCASI, and it's our great pleasure. That's why we can reach to all of you, which is great. And we examine, and the organization has to have their own policy, their value, and their attitude, and the whole workplace culture to support this cultural competency approach as well. So when we are talking about the cultural competency, it goes beyond the language and the country I'm from. The significance of culture is it is very important that we have to be aware when we're talking about culture of individual, is what is the most meaningful for them, and how do they interpret, not us interpret, and how the culture impacts on the perception of mental health and mental illness. Because in some culture, they don't even have the term like depression, or even they have the term mental illness. That is the term that like a taboo. So we have to be aware of that as well when we are trying to provide the support. And the stigma and its impact on the health-seeking behavior. And I think for us, what we can do is that we try to create that supportive and safe environment, and also the role played by the caregiver. We also have to recognize the families, the important role of the caregiver or the family play in the client's life. The resource, of course, and the service accessibility is very important, because education and information, it is very crucial if we want to empower individuals. So when we are talking about this cultural competence care and effective support for immigrants and refugees' health and wellness, and how do we apply this concept into our daily practice? So a lot of research had proven building a cultural competence among frontline workers or among all workers that alone can promote awareness and to facilitate the integration and transformation of knowledge about individual from diverse community, because we are serving a diverse community. It's not only one particular culture. So with that attitude, with that cultural competence approach, it is much more effective when we are trying to promote the awareness of mental health, and to promote and also to distribute the information and knowledge. And this is ongoing developmental process that will help us to work respectfully and effectively with diverse clients. Okay, Emily.
Yes, so we are looking at your role. You are very important in this process as well. So what do you think some of your roles and responsibilities are? Would you say your role is very high quality of customer service provider? Yes, of course, because we work with individuals. What about agency? We follow agency very specific policy guidelines and mandates. Yes, absolutely, we do all that. And I would say your folks quite very have a job specific role at your agency, but beyond the providing informations, citizenship and sponsor process, helping your clients see all the service that they need, refer them, as well as help them find resources in the community, such as, medical service, financial. But there's a list that's a brand new study actually in 2019 I'd like to share with you, that there's on top of what all you folks are doing, there's required skills for settlement workers, Maria. This is the all the add-on the responsibilities or the work that you do on top of the list that I was just talking about. It's, you see the strength, you assist them and navigate all the system, you advocate on their behalf, on their well-being, you contribute into the environments that's, of the diversity that we talk about, promote learning, foster initiative. You folks are doing what we're doing. I don't know if you remember the very first session we talk about is social determinants of health. You are beyond settlement workers. You are also in our team as a health worker. So lots of times when we look at cultural competence approach, when Maria shared earlier, that we don't just say, oh, I already attend to all this training. I don't have time to do all this training again. But really, it's when you improve our knowledge, your knowledge on and attitudes and the skills on cultural competence, you are helping your clients in a more meaningful experience in the society, in the host country wise. Also, can I have the next slide, please? Can I, if you are, if we all practice cultural competence, then we can improve the care and health outcome of our clients. We mentioned about before that is racialized and underserved populations. Research shows that those individuals have more issues, but utilize the system or underserve the system. So when we look at services, ethnic and language, match between clients and service provider show that it's a lower rates of dropout. And I understand, I work with a lot of settlement workers, and some of our co-workers is telling us that, you know what, Emily, they do not want language, the same language staff serving them because of privacy issues and things that they worry. Yes, absolutely. But if they don't completely understand what their service that we provide or what they need to do, it's higher rates of dropouts and misunderstand and misdiagnose. So when we look into cultural competence service, it's important that our clients understand 100%. So making your agency is a resource. A lot of times, I think agency have their own policy and their own mandate. But if you make your agency a little bit more friendlier, for instance, have little pamphlets on maybe, even though we don't believe in it, but maybe the abortions informations, maybe a rainbow flag or pamphlets of mental health, make them feel that, yes, I can bring this up with my worker here, make them feel that they can talk about, make them feel that there's something that they can be friendly enough for them to approach. There's lots of informations out there. They can also send pamphlets to you directly to your agency for free of cost as well. So when we look at the context of our agency resources, like if we can even just provide them the information, okay? So under the mental health context, taking the culture into the cultural context is that sometimes the cultural context is their value and their belief influence or associate with their mental illness. Just like Maria mentioned earlier, that for Chinese people, they don't talk about depression, but they said it's a weak nerve. Or like Korean people, this is very, very common amongst Korean women. They always talk about, instead of anxiety and mood and upsetness, they talk about, if I pronounce it correctly, it's called habyoung. Habyoung is like a term that in Korean that describe fire in the stomach. It's very, very common amongst women that have that feeling toward their in-laws, right? So it's like anxiety, worry, and upset, right? Or many things that if the culture themselves don't have this kind of, so we call mental illness or schizophrenia or bipolar, then they don't have the terminology to describe the symptom. Sometimes when we understand where our clients come from, for instance, I have this consumers, and everybody in her group of friends, and she told me that she said, they think I'm crazy, but I'm okay. I think I'm okay. And she experienced witness that through her journey of escape to Canada, she see her family die in front of her in the sea, and her the cope of her how she coped with this stress is she talked to them every night before she go to bed. And she give them an incense and she just talked to them. And she came and asked me, am I crazy? Or she asking the psychiatrist, because they actually don't have the terminology of, post-traumatic stress disorder, or they don't know what it is. They cannot describe that to you. Or like if you have pain in your physically pain, then you're like, oh yeah, it's very tender, very I don't know, like stabbing pain, right? But if they don't have this terminology in their own culture, it's very, very difficult for them to tell you what their emotional distress all about. And yes, she does have issues, but talking to them every night before she go to bed is a coping skills that she adopts, and it soothes her. And she still hold a full-time job. She still have friends, and she's a dedicated volunteer as Hong Fu. She helped other people, other women in cooking skills, cooking class skills. And that is the way that people of our own cultural backgrounds explained or trying to tell you how they feel. So, right. So as a worker, when we look at the context of the clients, we can understand a little bit about culture, how culture shaped their illness or their behavior, or how they're explain their what they're going through, because a lot of times, lots of studies shows that these are some of the issues that our immigrants and refugees are going through. Isn't it's harder for them to explain. Okay, so we have a case study. We can do this case study together, because I find that it's quite a bit of us today. So splitting out to little groups is not something it's meaningful. Maybe we can do this together. And at this point, I will also invite, I know that Gina's mute all of us. But at this point in this exercise, you can unmute yourself and we take turn, and then we can participate a little bit in our case study. So let me present the case study. The case studies is also on the screen for you to follow. So Mary is a 17 years old refugee from Syria who settles in Canada for just over a year. Mary lost her father in her own country, and Mary stayed in Canada with her mother. Mary currently enrolled in grade 11, and she has been constantly skipping class. So basically, the principal giving her say, "You don't." I have it on the screen, and I look at the paper. So the principal said that if she doesn't do anything with her behavior, she will be suspended. And she confessed that she's have internet addictions and her mood swing. So she spent almost 6 and 7 hours daily on the internet, and she lost her appetite. She barely eats. She eats like 2 slices of bread every day. So with this, she get really, really tired, and she doesn't want it physically. She's get tired. She doesn't want to go to class. So she also mentioned that she feels disconnected to the mainstream society, and she couldn't find the meaning of life. She also felt that she couldn't overcome her internet addictions or overcome her very depressive mood. So there's a few things that we wanted to look at. It's like, can you help me? How would you as if the mother come to you for help, how would you or you can help Mary directly. How do you think you can help Mary tackle these problems? First is trying to go back to school and help maybe if she doesn't make herself clear with the principal, how would you help her going back to class, overcome her maybe addictions, right? So how would you help her? How would you help her with tackle this problem, one problem at a time? Anyone?
The first thing I will try to find out is her strength, to see what she enjoys. So if she doesn't feel connected to mainstream society, or what she enjoyed in the past, and also what she's enjoying right now besides internet. So it seems that she likes internet, or it's like something that helps her to block all the worries she has. Yeah, so I will try to focus on her strength and help her to name them rather than me telling her what could help her.
Awesome. Anybody else?
I encourage her to join after school activity or any newcomer youth group activity, so she can make connection with the same language people or same cultural people. and she can feel more worthy, or she can feel that, oh, I am welcome in new country. So this could be another way to encourage her to reduce her internet addiction and reduce her depressive mood feeling.
Very good. Very nice. Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Sanjita speaking. Being an educator, I think we have to figure it out the child interest, and also being on the child interest, we have to do accordingly and make her more positive and more counseling on that part with the parents too. So that means the children will not gonna be scared or something or frustrated. So being with her friendly, a playing environment, learning through play is the best policy. So, and giving her chance to engage some activities so that the child development can develop through
Thank
play.
you. Thank you.
Hi, can I add something? I am
Yes, we'll take one more because due to time, and I really enjoy the fact that we can exchange this. Yes, we'll take one more.
We have to I sit with her and give her some information about her health and how there is like eating a good food can improve her studying, her brain, her mental health also. So we have to take care of her physical and refer her to some doctor who maybe help her with this issue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, folks. I think
Hi.
we're as practitioners, we would put our clients' needs or our clients where their time the baseline and where she's at. Sometimes it takes us months and even years to work with our clients. And I want you to look at the strength. I love that you look at the strength. And strength is that she spends 6 and 7 hours on the internet. We don't know what she's doing. I like the fact that you find out. Absolutely, you find out when we find out what she's enjoying or when she wanted to do in the past and she's enjoyed doing it now, we can combine that together and have something. Perhaps she can learn or meet someone online, a friends group, just like what we're doing. Zoom now very, very popular, right? So great. There's we still have a bit of materials to go. So I'll take questions at the end of the sessions. Or Maria, do you wanted to start on the cultivate resilience? Thank you so much.
Self and also show my face. Thank you so much for your great response, and I'm greatly encouraged that when we are talking about supporting the client, we look at the strength. It's exactly that's what this case about. Yeah. So that is what we focus on. Because when we focus on, then we will be able to find different venue to assist the individuals. And also we have to be mindful that individual may be on different pace. So what we think what best for them may not be the case. So I just want to bring to the conclusion that when we are talking about supporting clients, when a client have an issue, I just want to remind us that an issue may take years to resolve. Maybe years and years to resolve, because maybe that is a family issue or their emotional issue that takes time. But we can always cultivate resilience, because no matter what situation individual at, if we remind them of their strength, of their experience, and the support that is available, that can help the individual to move forward. So when we talk about cultivate resilience, it is the when we talk about resilience, we have to also recognize and acknowledge each individual. We are the master of our own issue, our own problem. But sometimes I'm confused. Maybe I'm in a very devastated stage. I cannot think straight. I lost my confidence. I don't have that confidence to stand up by myself or to navigate the system. So I need someone to walk with me, maybe to encourage me. but I myself know the best what work for me. When I say that, maybe because of my resource that I have, maybe you have a whole family behind you, but I don't have that. Or maybe my personality, I'm a passive person. So if you ask me to join all this, maybe it's difficult for me. So individual, they know what works best for them. So we have to recognize that all these individual, they may be in a very devastated state, but they know what works best. And they have that quality and they have that capacity to to bounce back, to we just need to work with them, to ignite that resilience. And now I would like to show you for me a very encouraging video. It also demonstrates how individuals had gone through so much hardship, maybe trauma, and how they, using their daily life, can bounce back. Okay, so it's become, yeah, we already know that recognized people have the way to cope with life and acknowledge that they are the best of themselves. Okay, where is that? Right. So that is that's the link of that thing. Okay.
أنا اسمي سحر، عمري 19 سنة، من العراق، من بغداد، ساكنة بيابية بدمشق. منطقتنا حلوة ويعني صغيرة ونامت، بس من دخلوا يعني الإرهابيين بيها خربوها، وقام حتى الأخ ما يعترف بأخوه هناك. أنا عندي أخ صغير اسمه أحمد، بال2003 كان يلعب ويا أصحابه، صغير يعني مو كبير، 96، كان يلعب مع أصحابه بالبيت بالحوش تبعنا، وفجأة وقع هاون بالبيت، فانضرب هو وأصحابه. هو ومات، والأصحاب ماتوا، بس بقى واحد مجروح يعني. اجينا لهون سوريا حرق بيتنا وبيت جدي، نزلنا الصور مع البيت المحروق، يعني حرقوا البيت. ساكنة بشقة صغيرة مؤلفة من غرفتين ومنافعها، ويعني شقة تعبانة حيل، والحمد لله أهل البناية يعني شهر يسكتون على الإيجار وشهر ما يسكتون على الإيجار، يعني بين البين، وما نقدر نطلع لها. هي أرخص شقة لقيناها بصراحة، وكلش تعبانة. هاي بعد الترميمات اللي إحنا سويناها بعدها تعبانة. دلوقتي الصبح يعني من 9 أو من 10 لل1 في عندي معهد نحت تابع للUN، مؤسسة الUN، بالسيدة زينب. فعجبني يعني شكله، يعني أنا أحب من أنا صغيرة أحب أشتغل هيك الشيء. فقلت للأستاذ، سجلت عنده اسمه رعد محمد، علمني، أعطاني قطعة، قال لي اشتغلي بيها. اشتغلت، طلعت حلوة، قال لي راح تصيرين تلميذ يعني منها. وهيك قمت أشتغل، صار تقريبا شهرين. من أشتغل بالنحت أحس براحة، يعني أرتاح من أشتغل بالنحت، أطلع اللي أنا أريده. الشغلة حتى لو أنا أظل يعني أنا طبيعتي دائما أظل ساكتة، فدائما شغلي كليته أشكال ساكتة، أشكال قاعدة وحدها. أحب أصير هواي أشياء، هواي أحلام عندي، بس عندي أهم حلمين إنه هي أصير معلمة أطفال، أو أفتح معرض خاص بي يعني للرسم التشكيلي من أصير بس شي يعني كل الدنيا كل العالم تعرفني، بس مو هواي يعني، خليني على جلدي.
I really find that video script very touching, and it also inspiring. So like individual, they find their way. As we can see from this video, that Saha, she is so interested in sculpture, and that really helped her heal. And also she can put all her expression in that process, which is very constructive as well. So I just want to summarize here. When we talk about people who are going through mental health issue, recovery is definitely possible because we build on strength and the other aspect of life to facilitate that process. And also when we talk about individuals' recovery, it is not only about individuals' matter. It is the whole community. It's us, the agency, the family member. We all come together. We build that system, the support system. So now when we talk about the interview and this assessment skill that which most of us, I'm sure, if not every one of us have to do, like when we see a newcomer or a new client come into our agency, we need to do that. And sometimes, as we say earlier, I just want to conclude, active listening is very important. An individual may not need our advice or need our telling them what they are really going through. They just need that attentive listening. Yeah, they want us to share, to understand their background. They need someone to talk about. So the active listening, it is very important for us to learn about this client. And when we are looking at the communication time, we realize that 70% of the communication of these, we can see 16% we spend on reading, 9% writing, 30% talking, 45% listening. And sometimes individual, actually this is shared by one of our consumer. What she said is that, sometimes a smile can solve 1,000 problems. When this individual said that, it is because when he was in the most devastated state, when he go and seek help from an agency, he saw the smile from the worker. Because at that time, he is not ready to listen to the treatment plan or anything like that. He was so down and he's not ready to intake all those information. But he saw that smile. He shared with me that smile really, it is elevating. It makes him feel that, oh, there is hope there. So engaging, when we talk about engaging a client, the rapport always come first. We have to build that rapport and trust, and then anything else can come later. So be a good listener, mindful of our bias when we're talking about cultural competence, and respect. Respect is very important of our client's will, because everyone from the different unique background. Something may not make sense for us, but that important is that it makes sense for this individual, and we are here to support this individual. And if we take that openness, it will better help us better understanding the need of this individual without a judgment. So when we come to the conclusion, when we talk about the cultural competence approach, it is about the self-awareness. And that self-awareness does not come automatically. We have to constantly practice that. We have to challenge ourselves. And when we make that judgment, when we say that, we say based on our belief, our own core value, our underlying feeling. I'm not saying that we should all abandon that, but we have to be aware of that. And the fearing of fear related, because maybe we fear that if we cannot resolve this problem, we will be judged upon. So we felt we are compelled to perform, to do something. But we have to be aware that a lot of time, the rapport comes first. We cannot tell someone who is very, very in deep depression to come out. Maybe they are not ready to come out yet at that stage. So we have to be aware of that, and we have to have that open mind. And when we are talking about the self-awareness, as I say, many of time, we ourselves may not even know. We have that feeling, but we don't know where is that feeling coming from. If we have to dig deep, we have to ask questions. We have to ask sometimes maybe a hard question to dig into our background, our upbringing, in order to find the root. That is important because only by doing that, we know, and then we will aware of the root of that attitude or that belief come from. And reflection. So when we are talking about cultural competence, self-reflecting, a critical self-reflection. It's not only just reflecting on our practice, it is the critical to challenge ourselves. Why do we think that? And when we are trying to assist others, we have to respect others, and we also ask questions. We do not assume. So when we talk about the approach in supporting the client, I just want to summarize, like we already talked about that earlier. So we work on the client's positive and strength, versus fixating on the problem. As I say, some problems are deep-rooted. It may not be resolved. For example, a family conflict, maybe it's deep-rooted for many, many years. It cannot be resolved in one visit or even 10 visits. But if we look at the positive side and we look at the strength, and then we will find different way to enter, to gradually tackle that issue. And also setting contract and boundary is very important. I still remember when I first joined the social service field, I do not set boundary. And I give my personal contact to client, which is a no-no. And also when client relate the story, I become self-involved. And that itself, it does not help me to have that strength and that objectivity to assist or to support this individual in the recovery journey. So it is very important to set that boundary, because that boundary can also help us to better support the individual. It's not only for our own good, it is for our practice as well. And as I say, a lot of times the need may be multiple, maybe at different level, but we keep it at the need-based focus. So one at a time. And we respect the client's self-determination and personal freedom. A lot of time, it is very easy for us to think, oh, you should do this way. This is the available resource. You should leave this abusive situation. But maybe at that time, maybe of the upbringing of the individual, they are not ready to take that action. So we have to respect that and respect that freedom and respect that reality for that individual as well. So we have to keep the expectation realistic. Okay, so that concludes our presentation for today. I just want to ask each one of you, if you have any comment, feedback, or question, please feel free. You can unmute yourself just like previous before to say whatever or to ask questions. Is there anyone want to comment or say anything? Or have any question?
What happens if we feel that the client's ideas are not realistic? How do we bring them back to, I know it says to keep expectations realistic, but sometimes that may conflict with them having that personal freedom. So sometimes we struggle with that balance of personal freedom versus what's also realistic.
Oh, thank you so much. That is a very excellent question. It is exactly right. Especially, maybe I can give you an example. At Hong Kong, we very often encounter that. But I think we will visit what is our goal here to support this individual. We support this individual to maybe to improve their situation from now. if this individual idea is not realistic, maybe what we can do is, instead of saying, oh, this is not realistic, it cannot be achieved, maybe we can display the different option. And then maybe we can also work with the client to visit their option or their plan, and what will be the likely result of that. What they are aiming at, or their plan is. So if we lay out all the available options, and then what will that likely lead to, so we lay it to them, and then we will be there to assure them that we will help them to navigate the system if there is needed, and to work on that recovery process. I think that will be helpful, instead of telling them that, oh, this doesn't work, because if that's what they truly believe sometime, and also, of course, we have to ask them maybe what are their idea, why they think that will help them. Maybe they have the explanation and they have some sort of belief behind that. I'm not sure whether that answers your question. Am I answered? Did that answer your question? Okay.
Maria, thank
yes.
you. It answered it answered the question for me. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
So for clients who have been using the mental health services for a long time,
right,
and they're not improving,
okay,
and they have developed an attitude towards the system, and they have become hopeless and helpless, but because they don't have anywhere to go, they keep coming back to the services they haven't found helpful.
Right.
So how and they have used everything that has been offered to them. How do you help those services? Again, you encourage them to go to the same peer group or same support group that they have used, but they haven't, at least in their own mind, they haven't.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, thank you so much for this very practical and very realistic question. Yes, actually, I would like to point out one thing. I think our role here, we are not like how you call that? We are not magical. We can only try our best. And when you talk about this individual had tried many years in the system and seeking help and still feeling hopeless and helpless, but yet this individual still coming to seek help. That itself meaning this individual still not giving up. But of course, as being at Hong Kong for so many years, I really recognize one fact: each individual they take their own pace, and nobody can tell them how they should feel or how they should act if they are not internalize that belief, or they themselves not taking that action. But our role here is to establish that rapport and also to tell them what is there available, and we are there to help them to navigate when they are ready. So that's our role. But what they are decided to do and how they feel, it's beyond us. But I do believe that if we don't believe, just like this individual, they still come to seek help. They still come to us. Maybe they're feeling devastated. They don't feel that they have any improvement. But the fact that they still coming, and that spoke a very important fact, that they still find that talking to you is helpful. Otherwise, they won't come. So, I think, first of all, for us, each one of us, if we don't give up, it's very important. If we felt, this individual comes so many times still feeling that way, maybe it's really, we try all our best. But we stick in our role. Our role here is to support individual in the recovery process or whatever they are at that stage, we help them to improve from that situation. If we stay on that we stood firm on that. So whether this individual taking further step, it is beyond us. So we have to take ourselves out from that. Do not feel discouraged. And that is why another very important, I found as a frontline worker myself, very important issue for each one of us is to be self-care. Because if we are not self-care ourselves and not aware of our own emotion, it is very easy. Others' experience will impact on us. Yeah, it's very easy that before we even know. As I say, I saw many cases in our field. Individual may not even aware that the job has really got on them because day in and day out, we are so busy. Every day we are seeing so many individuals seeking help. And when we got home, maybe we have other responsibility. So we forgot about our self-care. And then at that moment, maybe just like the elastic band, right? The elastic band, when it's fresh, it is really bouncy. So we can stress ourselves. But then we don't even aware. We felt that, okay, we can take on, we can still carry on. But one day, this elastic already lost the elasticity. And then maybe one small trigger, it break, it snap. Yeah, many times, even including myself, that will happen. So we have to be aware of that. So we stick on our role.
Thank you.
Any other?
And I must say, folks, we are a lot more fun in person. We're not able to see most of you, but we can feel, I personally can feel the energy from you folks, and our passion, Maria and I, passion is to do a lot of self-help, self-care, how we help ourselves at work. So how to stay healthy at work. So if in person somehow we can arrange, we would love to meet and share with all of you folks.
Yeah. So on that note, we, both of us, we really want to express our most heartfelt gratitude for each one of you, for your attention and for your participation. It's really a great encouragement for us, because when we are talking about cultural competency, it's not only one agency, one individual, it's all of us together, we cultivate that. Thank you so much for you guys. Thank you. See you again.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I'd just like to note that you've all received a survey from OCASI in your emails. And so please make sure to do that and give us some feedback. It'll only take a few minutes. So if you check your emails, it should already be there. And yeah, just give our thanks to Emily and Maria for hosting this webinar and the past couple webinars as well. And I hope that you'll join us next week as we host another one with Kosti. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
So.
Keep safe and be well.
Maria, sorry, is it possible to have your contact information, or Emily?
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry, I couldn't, because so many picture here. I cannot identify.
This is Zara.
You text me. Can you use the chat box? I can send it to you.
Yes.
Also, I asked a question. I am a student in a program, and I attended this webinar for a class, and I was trying to see who would I need to contact to get an email sent to my professor.
Hi, Nicole. So that would be me. So I received your email on our general account, and I'll send your professor an email from my personal account, and I'll CC you in that.
Okay. Do you have the email? Did you get it earlier?
Yeah, it's the one you sent for P. Lewis, right?
Yes, P. Lewis at A State. Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
No problem at all.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.